Scott Hilton, Scott Talks. Today I'm talking about my favorite podcasts. I have different ones for different days of the week. So when I'm riding my bike or walking, today's Thursday, Clockwise. Loves Clockwise. It's a tech podcast that is lasts like at 30 minutes. That's why it's Clockwise. And they talk all things tech, mostly Apple. And I love it. I always like to catch it. And Nico likes to catch it. Nico, you like to catch Clockwise? What do you think? He's like, no. Let me go over it. See, I love Overcast. I have an iPhone. So Overcast can create playlists for me. Sunday, I can listen to news, hear a couple news podcasts if I want to just get in the mood for some news stuff. CNN has breaking news alerts. There's a streaming podcast called Listener, the streaming service. Daily Tech Update. Apple News Today. That one runs about 15 minutes on that. These are all short news clip things so that I can bang through a lot of them if I want to get the fix for news. On Sunday, there's a realtor that talks about Ocala news. I live in Ocala, Florida. Sometimes I'll listen to her if she's on a good subject. I've got technically about 30-minute long podcasts that I can pop in. The Morning Brew, Up First, NPR, Science Friday, The Daily, Pop Culture Happy Hour, Conan O'Brien's fun to listen to, Lightspeed, Global News Podcast, 1001 Classics Short Stories. That's always cool to listen to a short story from famous authors. You're like, oh, I never heard this story before, and I love that author. The Tangle podcast, can't remember what that even is. The Daily Tech News. Here's my Clockwise, Morning Brew, The Daily Show. What happens when you lose your social media? That's from BBC's Tech Life. Oh, okay. Cool Stuff Ride Home. Cool Stuff Ride Home is kind of a podcast I've got during the week I'll listen to. Smartless, wonderful podcast. Wonderful podcast. Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett are excellent as hosts for interviewing, and they get all these big people on the show. Conan O'Brien's always funny. There's Word Theater, which is also short stories. If you're in the mood for a short story. DC Studios Showcase has a podcast, and I don't listen to all these. I just kind of look through the most recent ones because I can put them in order by most recent. That's because it's Overcast. It's not Apple Podcast. It's neat. You can make playlists. You can customize playlists. And you'll see the one way that I do it is, let's see if I find some more things that I've got in here. A-Sun, S-U-N. A1, Sun. A2, Sun, Sunday. By doing the A and then the number and then the thing, you get a more alphabetical order because you want to call it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, your podcast for that day. But you need something to keep it in order. So the A and the number and all that with a little space. Monday is my Cool Stuff Ride Home. This one's about 20 minutes. I've got my Monday news if I want to. CNN has 5 things. That's short. It's simple. I like them all short, so they just put different subjects like that. All right. Tech Brew Ride Home, Tuesday. I think it's the same company and same everything like that. Still cool. Here's some more news stuff for Tuesday. Just got some stuff in there, just short stuff. Wednesday, Star Talk Radio with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I just listen to the most recent one. And if I burn through it, great. I'm out Wednesday, usually longer on Wednesday rides. I'll listen to as much as I can, depending on traffic and different things. But he and Chuck Nice or whoever the comedian is with Neil, always talking science, always talking, having a lot of fun. And Chuck is funny, real funny, throwing in his little ad libs. Wednesday, AP News, a lot of short, chopped up news, quick news stories. You get your news, boom, 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 and you go. 9 to 5 Mac Daily is short. Daily Tech Update, short, all short, so you get clips. I used to listen to it when I was working. Just put it in, go, go, go. Thursday's my Clockwise. It's for walking and riding the bike. When I'm doing gardening, I listen to audiobooks with Audible. And you could also listen with different things, like LibriVox has old classic stuff. If you have a library card, go get a library card. Take your driver's license, prove where you live, that you're nearby. This is my local library. I want a library card. And now I can get Libby or Hoopla. Most people get Libby for audiobooks. And you can hold an audiobook, put it on reserve. And when they send you the text, hey, your audiobook's ready. Do you want to get it? You say yes, and you stop the book you're listening to now because you got to bang out that book because it's free. And you do that. And they say, oh, your book's becoming expired. Do you want to renew it? Sure, I'm still listening. Renew, go, go, go. It's neat. You get a free book. And Audible, I love Audible. I don't do Audible Plus too much anymore because I want certain books and I'll pay for longer books with the credit. The credit gives you one book for yours to keep in this digital age, which nothing's yours to keep anymore. But that's the joke. But I usually get a longer book, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 20 hours with the credit. And if it's like 2 hours, you don't waste a credit because they cost about $12, $13 each if you average them out. So if the book's on sale, you can put it on a wish list, and they're always putting that stuff on sale. So when it's on the wish list, they say, oh, your wish list has stuff on sale. You check it, $7.99 for a book or something. You know what I mean? And you're like, I'll just pay for the book. I'll just pay. Yeah, I think that's an interesting book. I put it on the wish list for maybe later, and they put it on sale for $10.99 or whatever. You pay for that book, all right? And if it's a 2-hour thing, you pay $2 or $3, $4 if you really want it. Like if it's like a short novelette based on another book, and you're like, oh, I got to know what the novelette's about, and it's only $2 or $3, and it's only 30% off. Maybe they'll have a bigger sale later. I'll wait, and you get an even bigger discount. You know what I mean? So get it when you think it's a comfortable price to buy for $2, because $2, it's gonna be gone. It's gonna be done and over with. But if you got a longer book, and I usually listen to my audiobooks and my podcast at 1.5 speed. My wife doesn't like it, but I like it. So that's important. So that's your audiobooks. In music, we got Spotify, family thing. So I'll listen to Spotify, but I just still listen to my Pandora radio. I've got my own little super station on Pandora. Let's see if I can bring that up real fast, and I can show you my weird numbering system for that. That'll get you. Where's my superstation? Scott's superstation. There's a couple mixes and things I made myself. But the thing to look for is -1 super Scott Superstation. See if you can find that in your Spotify. It's got like 50 different artists mixed in, just all sorts of genres and things. So no matter what you're listening to, it's always gonna be a little different. I mean, you'll get Beatles, Jimmy Buffett, Ariana Grande. You might even get Hamilton from and Phantom of the Opera. Something might pop up. Some Disney stuff may pop up. Harry Styles will pop up. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Blackpink, everybody will pop up. So check that playlist out. Maybe one of the others. I got a Disney Buffett. Just put -1 Disney, -1 Taylor Swift. I got Taylor. My wife likes the Taylor Shania Buffett Carrie Underwood one I made. I got a Disney Buffett Beatles, Paul McCartney. I got all sorts of little stuff that I made myself. Tons of them. And you can create your station. See the little blue thing? Create your station. It has ads, unless you want to pay extra. But if you're going to pay extra, I like Spotify. You know what I'm saying? But you might like to create your own station with no ads and say, hey, I'll pay Pandora instead of Spotify, or I'll pay Apple Music and get my music that way. So let's get back to it, clockwise. Thursday, my Florida news is in there. Daily Crunch has a short tech podcast, different things like that. Friday. Now, some of you NPR listeners can almost guess this one. Science Friday, right? And Science Quickly. I throw them both in there. And I can get them both out, both about 20 minutes. A little more news stuff. Wall Street Journal Minute Briefing is snuck in there. See that? Marketplace has the green and yellow and blue color one is short, 30 minutes. It depends on if you want to listen to that much. And the one below it, at the very bottom, is 47 seconds. So it varies. You get what you get. Saturday is one of my other favorites, is iOS Today. And technically, I've already listened to iOS Today. It comes out, I think, Thursday or Friday, but I save it for Saturday bike ride. And I've already listened to it, so there's no logo for you. But iOS is it's the iOS that runs Apple stuff. More little news things, if I choose to listen to some news on there. And they're all very short. And if I get the itch for This American Life podcast, Mike Rose podcast, see the A16, the dash space A space 16, and then Mike Rowe, Conan O'Brien, Smartless. You know, Brian Tong, he's always good with Apple News. Brian Tong is. Joe Rogan, Current Tech podcast, just a lot of current tech things, subjects. All my interview people, all over the place. You just go through the last few and see who. Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman are on Happy, Sad, Confused. He's been getting tons of big interviews in his Happy, Sad, Confused. And they're going to be talking about the roses, I'm sure. And WTF has Regina King. Fly on the Wall, funny podcast. Pop Culture Happy Hour is from NPR. I got the Steve Austin podcast. I like listening to Steve every once in a while. Conan O'Brien, Joe Rogan. Talkville is Smallville podcast with the 2 stars of Smallville talking about episodes. I sometimes listen to that on rare occasions. Adam Carolla show's good. Where Everybody Knows Your Name is the Cheers podcast. I haven't heard that yet. Wait for a good guest, then I can sneak it in. Howie Mandel has a podcast. He had a funny interview with Mr. Beast on YouTube where he's going through the plaques. Howie was like, oh, I got a plaque. I got one of the YouTube plaques. And Mr. Beast takes him down this long-ass corridor full of plaques. All these YouTube plaques in different languages, all sorts of stuff. And he says, yeah, we got more, but we just didn't have room to hang them all. And Howie's like, wow, yeah. So it's amazing. There's something called Good Hang. I added that for some reason. And Katie Shakoff has a podcast, The Shakoff Show. Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville gets a lot of big guests. Inside of You. And the fact he's such a good friend of James Gunn, he got a lot of Superman people. And Alec Baldwin has a podcast, if you didn't know. Yeah, Here's the Thing, he calls it. And there's good old Bill Burr. Bill Burr has a podcast. Bill Burr's Monday Morning Podcast, if you're a fan of Bill Burr. License to Chill is a Jimmy Buffett podcast. Club Random. We've got that. Whitney Cummings, Good For You podcast. We've got Wait, Don't Tell Me. Remember that from NPR? Seth Rogen's The Late Show, Late Night. Talk is Jericho, is another wrestler. Oh, yeah, we got what else? Let's see what else we got around here. There's a James Gunn, is that a podcast? I don't know. Oh, just all sorts of little stuff. And then these are that repeat. And you could, Julie Louise Dreyfus has a podcast, or had one. Wiser Than Me, she calls it. Let's see if I can find another one. May not be that popular anymore, but I'll get like 10 episodes. I've got a lot of room on my phone. I got the big storage, so I could just get all these things. But you could have it programmed just for one episode at a time, and you could go through it that way. You say, oh, who's got the latest podcast? This episode, just one. I've got like 10 for all of them. So if I just pick somebody way down here, I can listen. Cool. So that's my interviews, number A22. Happy, Sad, Confused. He's always got good stuff, good people. And I catch him a lot of times on YouTube. I have Scott News on A25, all those wild news things I've got. About Perfect Picks, which was 5 things, Daily Tech Update, and the streaming service. He's kind of an interesting guy to listen to about streaming. Yeah, a lot of it's Australian-based, but those shows get here. And back when I was working, I had priority 1, 2, and 3 organized. All sorts of stuff. My Clockwise was in priority 1. But yeah, that's a lot of the podcasts I'm listening to and have. And I don't have time to listen to all these things, of course, but whatever catches my at the moment, I'll listen to. And if someone says, hey, did you hear the latest podcast from Conan O'Brien? I'm like, no, who did he talk to? Oh, really? Okay, I'll listen to that. And boom, I've got it. I've already got it. I can find it. I got 10 episodes. And with this on Star Talk, if I go over an hour, I'll just get into the next episode that I never finished anyway because I was riding the bike and doing stuff. And I'm going out to do a little gardening, and that means pulling weeds for me, helping the wife with her flowers. She does all this planting, and I get to water it. That's a win-win, right, guys? Is that a win-win? Yep. That's a win-win. Right, Nico? Nico says, yeah, that's a win-win. So that gets me out of the house. And then I can ride my bike, go to the store. I go to the grocery store to get stuff sometimes on the bike. I've got 2 bikes, and you can see them in other videos. But basically, they're good for shopping. I got a real milk crate on the back of one bike. It's a step-through model, which you would call a girl's bike back in the day. But this is just a big, solid, heavy-duty bike. And it had 9 speeds. And I got a real milk crate. I got a cheap one time from Target or someplace. And it looked like a milk crate, but it was kind of floppy in. And it got kind of brittle, and I had to drill holes in the bottom of it and stuff. And it was just, I was like, eh. So I zip stripped this. I got it on Amazon because on the YouTube videos, they were like, and the milk crate, it's kind of free. And I was like, I'm not going behind the store with all the cameras in the world now and grabbing a milk crate from somebody. No, you don't do that. Crazy. So I ordered one. It's like 20-something bucks on YouTube. It was a heavy duty. Got a igloo cooler. Tested it with the milk. We use Almond Breeze almond milk. Got the cooler at Walmart Marketplace. A little hard cooler. Shoved in the milk fit. Later, I got a soft cooler that zipped closed, and I broke the zipper on it. But it's good as the second cooler. Inside that cooler, and the Almond Breeze still fits inside the soft cooler, so it's like 2 layers, and I've got little ice cube blocks that are about that thin with a circle in the middle. And I use those. I'll take about 4 of those with me, put one on the bottom, one on the top, and if I get my back, and I'll double those up. Or if I have to put something in the second cooler, if I run out of room, I can pull the cloth cooler off and put 2 of the things in there, maybe take one of the tube shape. It's about that long, about as long as this. I've had many. And it's like a tube. And I could put that in the corner since I could take that with me. And I need to get 1 or 2 more of those. Those are neat. And they keep the air around. See, if you put it one on the outside, it keeps the air around the cloth cooler. So the cloth cooler is even cooler. So you can bring home ice cream and stuff. It's neat. So I bring home, and it forces me to write. get out and ride, get some exercise, and bring home one or two things. Right now, my wife's on her last thing of coffee creamer. So guess what I'll be getting today or tomorrow, right? I'll be stopping at Publix and getting the nice coffee creamer she's got, unless I can find it at Walmart Marketplace. Certainly not going to find it at Aldi. We got an Aldi nearby too. I'll go there sometimes. But yeah, so that gives me exercise. And then the other bike is a Verve 2 from Trek. Both of them Trek, because the Trek store is the closest bike shop near me. And it was the closest near me when I lived in Spring Hill. Now I'm in Ocala, Florida. And some of you'll see videos of me talking about Tableau antenna systems that I had. I was close to Tampa, so in Spring Hill. And we used to have an antenna hidden in the attic. And I would use my Tableau and get free TV. And I got it to Ocala, and I thought I had it, but it was actually sending me, I was checking it. It was giving me the channel listings for Tampa. And I thought, wow, look at all these channels. So I got a little tiny antenna because I knew I couldn't, we had some kind of metal trimming inside the attic here. So that would block all the signal. They said it'd block some cell signal. That's why you want Wi-Fi calling. If you have trouble with your cell signal in your house, you just hook up Wi-Fi calling on your settings. And every time you're at home, you got great reception on your phone. So, and you can download all your podcasts. I use Wi-Fi only so it doesn't constantly ask for more podcasts because I've got so many. You can do it at home, but every day, just get it pulled down on the menu and boom, you've got podcasts loading up. And it even says, if something doesn't load right, it'll tell you to retry. You can retry. If not, just swipe to the left and delete it. You're like, yeah, I don't need that one. Or what if it was clockwise? I'd wait another day and check it again. But, right? Yeah, it's a pretty good podcast. So I hope you like, subscribe, and share. Oh, the Verve 2 is a neat bike because it's got a bar, but it's not straight across. It comes down. So I won't be singing soprano when I'm popping off the bike seat too quick. You know what I mean? That slight curve down is good. And it's a fun bike to ride. It's lightweight. I still put a rack on the back because if I'm out and about and I want to get something, I got some bungees and stuff. I can pick up stuff that doesn't have to be cooled. I can just get regular stuff. So, but I like riding it because it's lighter, a little faster. I still get passed by all the cyclists, the people in Lycra and the people on e-bikes and the people on scooters. Everyone pretty much passes me. And some of the regular bikers, there are a lot of e-bike people around here. So, Ocala's got that going for them. But anyway, check for podcasts. Whatever podcast system you use, enjoy it. Go for walks, get some exercise, clear your head. Steve Martin, before he did the TV show Only Murderers in the Building, he said he used to walk for hours, just walking, listening to true crime podcasts. And Martin Short would just laugh at him like he had never heard of true crime podcast before Steve, and he still didn't listen to him. He didn't know anything about true. He just did the job. Steve said, "Hey, you want to be in the show?" And Martin's like, "Yeah, okay." And the producer was like, "So Marty's going to do it?" "Yeah." "So that means you'll do it?" "Yeah." That's how it started. I mean, Steve created the show with three old guys was the idea originally, and it's a brilliant show. But the producer was going to do it, but he didn't know, he'd get Steve Martin or not. Steve was like, "I don't know if I want to do it." And they said, "Well, we can just get three people to do it." And the guy was like, "Well, Steve, why don't you do it?" He says, "Well, tell you what, I'll do it if Marty will do it." And he and Martin Short had been doing tours together forever. And, Three Amigos, that's when they met and stuff. So it became a thing. But Steve was a big true crime podcast listener. And that became the basis of the show. And then they decided to add a young girl because the producer was like, "No, it'd be funnier with a young girl and you two old guys and your ways of doing things and her ways of doing things are so different." And it did. And they even said they incorporated stuff that Steve did, like Steve would sign an email. And Selena Gomez was like, "Steve, you don't have to sign the email. It tells me who you are." He said, "Well, it just seems more formal. It just seems you just put your name on it." And she'd laugh and like, "Okay." And then they add that to the show. The producer was like, "I'm adding that to the show. I've seen it in the show." So great show on Hulu. Got to see it. Only Murderers in the Building. True crime podcast fans would love it. And podcasts are a big, big thing now. People are loving to listen. It's like radio, NPR on demand. It's radio stories on demand. Whatever you want. You got your Joe Rogans out there. There's some big stuff out there in podcast land. So get you a good podcast player. If you have an iPhone, I said, I know Apple's got that podcast player, which is okay. But Overcast, the guy went really out of his way to make it work for iPhones and to set up and to put order for your podcast, how many you want for each one, and then if you want a priority podcast, like if I wanted 5 podcasts in one day, I could put Clockwise #1 as the priority podcast, no matter what. And then the others would just play whenever. That's a neat feature. And you can control the speed. You can change it from 1 regular to 1.3, then 5 or something like that. And then they get real serious where it's really sped up. Like, I can't keep up. But it took me a bit to get into 1.5. I started slow and I got used to it. It was okay. Let me add it a little bit more. I got to 1.5. I said, this is good. I can really burn it through some audiobooks. I can burn through the podcast because it's a 1 hour show. But if you're listening at 1.5, it's not going to take an hour. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I do it. So like, share, and subscribe if you learned anything. I hope you did. Sorry about the vertical up and down. I forgot. And I'm doing this on an iPad mini so I could show you my phone and my different stuff. So enjoy the video. It'll have a different look to it, but it'll be all right, right? Right. All right. Have a good day. Bye.